Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the best player from the United States of America. In the red, the battle mage. It's Astrea. Up against the Polish powerhouse Terran in the blue, we have Spirit. A singular Terran versus Protoss match. And when I asked why this match was recommended, what's so special about it, the answers amounted to effectively just trust me, bro. So while not particularly satisfying, I'm going to go ahead and repeat it. As if you haven't yet, it'd be awesome if you could like and maybe even subscribe. Just trust me, bro. Because, Jimmy, what are we? If we get 1,339 likes on this video, on this cast, I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. We're on Crimson Court, so I already have some ideas about both the length, width, and girth of this game. But it's probably our longest term map. Probably the map most likely to if we survive to 4 bases, which I'm going to make some wild assumptions and say we will. It's almost impossible to commit your army to one side of the map without leaving the other open. And when you're unwilling to leave so much of your base undefended, well, that creates more stalemate. Maybe not literally. We very, very rarely have those, especially ones not involving Dark or Beyond. But it creates something of an impasse. And both Spirit and Astrea are not particularly early game players. They are more than willing. Spirit had an hour-and-a-half long game against Raynor. I want to say last year, where he eventually brought it to 0 minerals left on the map and slowly but surely whittled Raynor down. And Raynor even took to the chat somewhat angry, maybe not angry, but frustrated at Spirit's tenacious style, which is a very generous interpretation. But Astrea also, you don't get the title the Battle Mage because you come in guns blazing, but instead, because you're much more adept, somewhat puns intended, at that late game sort of army. Astrea, sometimes too much for his own good, will have an incredibly complicated Protoss army. But starting things off, in the present, we have a bolt. Wow, it is a wall. Only a handful of stalkers can actually hit the tank, and oh no, it's a disaster. The SCVs are pulled just in time, and the Great Wall of Spirit will hold against the first wave of stalkers, and with it, his army was pretty much just the tank and a couple Marines. The stalkers are back in for more. They decide to go around. Tank is able to maneuver around. A single Banshee waiting for... Well, it's not going to get Cloak. I lied. It already has Cloak. So, I guess technically correct, because it already has it, but that's incredibly pedantic. Well, Astrea tried to get the damage done with the stalkers. He will take out a depot, mostly out of spite, than looking to get real damage, as that depot was just there to make sure Spirit had the scouting. Now we got 4 stalkers loaded into the prism, trying to target down some SCVs and minimize losses. There's plenty of dead space back there, which means if there's no Vikings out, it's very unlikely. 2 Cloak Banshees come in, and Spirit, well, plenty of probes already. The Observer will see them, but the Stalkers have to be warped in. 8, 9, 10. Good thing they have the little numbers on the side. 13 kills. Devastating damage. He does get 1 Banshee, but 14 probe kills is certainly not an insignificant number, and that knocks Astrea down to 42 versus 49 workers. Storm's on the way, +1. Charge. And more gates as Astrea... Wow, Spirit! He's got a wall off and some checkerboard depots here. The checkerboard and other sort of... As time goes on, I think Terrans would benefit, well, maybe they're already benefiting through experience, would benefit from playing some tower defense games. Because it really does feel like they're utilizing similar strategies, just like in tower defense games. I guess literal tower defense here, considering the bunkers and the plants. Moving on. You don't want to outright wall off the enemies. You want to funnel them. And in this case, charge lots can be considered very much like any of those particular tower defense sort of waves, as charge lots will chase down units, and they don't really care if there are buildings in the way. If there's a path, they will try to maneuver their way around the depots and hit whatever in the back, which can create some very awkward-looking scenarios. Awkward-looking scenarios which are almost always difficult for the Protoss. But another drop comes in, speaking of difficult, and picks up the medevacs. The blink, oh, enough to knock out one of the medevacs. And Spirit, losing a lot of the danger of that potential drop. A single medevac is exponentially worse than two when it comes to threatening the Protoss. Single medevac can likely be cleaned up with a single warpin, whereas two will easily get overwhelmed by the DPS of that many Marines and Marauders. Astrea at 8 gates has a Storm Prism, opting for Storm, not Robo-Bang, as is a more typical choice, but Storm still mixed in pretty commonly. Eventually, you end up with both. Well, some players actually skip the Storm entirely, not believing that anything that can be countered by Ghosts is really going to be a viable option. But they did pick Protoss, so that ship has already sailed. Meanwhile, well, usually Disruptors are the choice in order to get the damage done. But Astrea playing for a later game composition, clearly, as he goes for the 4th base. He's got +2 and another Forge on the way. 2 more gases will bring him up to the full complement of 6. At least on his first 3 bases. Water Balloon whipped out at one of the Marines from the High Templar. Observer, Warp Prism in position. And now we're already seeing kind of maybe a vision of the future, where neither player is feeling comfortable enough to commit to an attack on either side. So far, pretty much all the damage has been done by Blink Stalkers, Medevacs, Banshees. Speaking of, oh, massive storms! And the base is mining out, which means they stack up a little better. EMP lands on the Prism, but the Templar are tucked away inside. Ooh. Gets another Prism out of there. Another Templar out of there. There is a Viking. He was gonna recall. Well, it's already too late. He's gonna try to get the Templar to get a Storm. Does so. Maybe a Water Balloon for it? No. Citizens arrest. You're wanted for... Okay, the Viking... That's a bit gratuitous. I think he queued it up while I was looking the other way. Widow Mine drop loaded up. Bio Army, mid-map. Brave Zealot, standing. We've got some Map Templar here, making it more and more like a campaign mission. Usually you have a couple Zealots with them in the campaign, like a random cannon or something, but still the ideas are there. Feedback, 0 out of 5 on those goes. Not very nice, and also tried to kill me. Mostly succeeded. Templar on the high ground, though. Storm on the right flank. Another Storm! And this one chews through the center mass. Already a Stargate behind it. Astrea confident he could hold this attack and maybe transition. You know, a mothership on a map such as this would not necessarily be out of the question. Widow Mine drop is heading in. There are some Stalkers in position. Zealot. There's the little battle group we're looking for, but Widow Mines burrowing. Astrea reacts. Actually, beautiful reaction. Ends up losing pretty minimal probes. Wait, but wait, there's more. Oh no. It's always the ones you most expect. 8 kills. Well, I guess that's 4 more on top of the 4 that we've already gotten. But 8 in total. Sounds way more dramatic that way anyways. Bio Army whipping out more EMPs across the board. 1 tank gets caught. Couple Widow Mines on the ramp as well. Storm a bit late on the draw. More Zealots warped in. And a triple drop is loaded up. Did Astrea see it? With the edge of the observer. I don't think he quite did, but this Spylon certainly will. Yeah. That's pretty apparent. Clearing it out. Might as well at this stage. The rocks on either side have not yet been taken down. Mineral wall. Maybe a choke point. Yeah. Maybe it's time to open that up a bit. Otherwise, they're just going to be trickling into the firing line of Terran. Widowmine is taken out, but claims a few zealots. Meanwhile, more gateway units across the board. And, oh wow. Fusion! There's no way. There's no way he's going battle cruisers here, but fusion core is on the way. Fleet beacon is already done. We're taken to the skies with the capital ships. Tempest already in production. I love that choice from Astrea. Tempest, much more guaranteed damage than carriers. Carriers can be a game winner, but they can also be a financial disaster. They cost more than Tempest, and those interceptors are easily gunned down. Mama ship on the way. And I don't actually mind it here as a positioning option with the mass recall to potentially either counterattack or just as a secondary defensive recall. We'll see how Astrea ends up using it, but the Bio Army somehow went unscouted over to this left flank, and Astrea doesn't have really any alternative bases. EMP is hit onto the Templar, and the Nexus dies easily to the combined might of the Bio Ball. Astrea trying to keep track of the army. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans, but Spirit did a good job of denying. And now, that army committed out on the map, but the bunker, those charge slots jammed in. We were talking about tower defense, but they finally get their way through. A few more Juke Toy depots, 11 SCVs down, another command center on the way. Astrea actually knocked down to 3 bases. What are you gonna recall? He was thinking about a recall, and then he realized how sad it was gonna be. There's the mothership recall is not ready, but Tempests are building up. Astrea is losing valuable units, but not irreplaceable ones. That's a real word, right? Unreplaceable? Super cool, important units. No, that's not it. Well, mothership is on the field. Once again, to be a little more particular, is gliding dramatically above the field and keeping it outside the 4th base. But now it looks like he's gathering it up with the army. Time Warp and Active Cloak could definitely be helpful. 6 Liberators at a time. +2 ship weapons, a huge upgrade for the Liberators that allows them to one-shot Stalkers after EMP, 2-shot otherwise. It's just a big breakpoint upgrade. But the Vikings find the mothership. They go for the Tempest. Easier picking. Storm, a historical and StarCraft related counter to Vikings. So far, so good. Ship weapons level 2 is complete as things get bogged down. Both sides. Now Astrea able to get his 5th base up. It's about 7 bases aside in total, but it is these corners right at the, we'll call it the 420 and the 1040 locations over here. We'll see who's able to blaze a path to them. Meanwhile, the ghosts, quite high in number. Revelation going to be very important for keeping tabs. Cloaking Volume 2 on the way. Can't just slap one of the Banshee cloaking devices on the Ghost. Alright, that's a whole different thing. You should get a discount if you already had one of the Ghosts, though. Like, scan, spots, and snipes the Templar. But at this point, it's more Sky Terran almost than the ground. I thought he was building 6. Did he decide? A stasis catches 6 Ghosts here. He decided to cancel his Liberator production in favor of an overwhelming number of Vikings. Oh my. There's a turret zoning out to the north side. Tectonic destabilizers. Tempest anti-building damage on the way. Liberator with advanced ballistics looking to siege up. Should be countered by Stalkers, but Astrea, attention is incredibly important at this stage. as both sides demonstrate that EMP lands, doing 666 damage on one EMP. Wait, no, it's the other way around. Either way. Meanwhile, though, the Tempest shelling. EMPs from the side. Time Warp from the north. Hey, did he recall the mothership in order to flank with it? Meanwhile, a Tempest will strongly disagree with the Liberator's presence and politely request that it leave. And it will. But he's already queued it up again, expecting Astrea to move the Tempest. And he may very well do so. More storms from the north. The Tempest will stay on guard. Cannons on the way. Nuclear missile in production. +2 plating, +3. Protoss air armor on the way. Zealots over to the west. Both sides trying to claim what they can. Cannon outflank the Liberator. Well played. Another stasis on the way. Vikings wandering into the fray. Tempest goes nuke. There it goes. Awkwardly, the Templars on the other side of things. Astrea? Well, the nuke can maybe take out the cannon. It's not quite close enough. The Vikings will easily take out 2 Tempests, though. 3 or 4 cannons taken down. Storm spotting a lot of damage. Somewhat ironically saving some of the units with stasis. Warp Prism still hanging out about as far away from any Terran units, but still on their side of the map as he can. A scan, I don't know. Maybe just checking for transition to carriers. Because at that point is when maybe you need something. Well, there's nothing more direct. He's making mass Vikings. Honestly, I'm not sure what he's scanning for. As carriers have a similar response. Maybe you actually go Liberators. Enough Liberators and you can just wipe out the Interceptors. So, CG it up so it doesn't get caught easily. That was odd. Both the fact that never say die, literally, the last word is die, and also the ghost kind of like teleported through the ground there. Anyways, Nexus goes down after a strong conversation with some Marauders. More ghosts, or more nukes on the way, and ghosts. Multiple command centers, +3 air armor, +2 shields, as we're filling in the upgrades. But amusingly, Astrea doesn't even have a Robo Bay. He hasn't even bothered with much out of the Robo except for observers and prisms. Just support in this game so far. Spirit is he flies up, he nukes, and then cancels the nuke. Let's go to the Astrea cam. Oh my god. Astrea! Oh, he's scrambling! Where is it? It's not here! He just gives up on looking. He just spent 15 seconds. Spirit is using the nukes as a distraction. Which, you know, it's quite a distraction. Historically, one of the biggest distractions in the history of civilization. And so far, well, I said attention per minute. APM, if you would, is the most important resource. And in this case, the distracting nuke. It flies off into the sunset, or the sun, I'm not sure. But enough to keep Astrea at bay so Spirit can hit the base to the north. Depower some, targeting the fleet beacon. The Marauders getting a deep tissue massage from the Tempest, and then the Tempest just gives up and says, I'm not even going to bother with that. The fleet beacon died. He's building another one. Get out of the way! He's trying to get this pile up, but the Marauders can't get through. An observer in an incredibly key location. Back behind the lines, there's another nuke. Multiple stasis. Another nuke. This one matters. Astrea? Well, yeah, that one's... that goes to... Those bushes won't save you. Put a cardboard box over your head next time if you want stealth. SCV was caught in stasis. Now is, not. mass shield battery push. So we have distracting nukes and mid-map battery packs as both sides settle in. An entire invasion fleet of Vikings. Warp Prism. I don't know how many Warp Prisms. This is Warp Prism number 3. 17 Templar have died. 32 Vikings. The mass cannon shield battery. Mothership. Actually, the mothership has lived throughout all this. It has 53 HP. Only 250 shields. And EMPs promptly invalidate most of those shield batteries, but a time warp to zone out. And another wall of cannons. All right, the Vikings. Oh, the mothership, no! And single volley. And now the nuke to take out the entrenched emplacement. Wait, Astrea? Has he figured it out? He gets the, oh, the nuke? Okay. All right. Ghost gets taken out. It has to be staring down the area where the nuke should land. Right up until pretty much the last second. Otherwise, it just flies off. We don't get your money back on those. Was there high-sec auto-tracking? High-sec auto-tracking would have gotten that Warp Prism killed by a turret on the way by. We'll see if Spirit remembers it here. He actually has building armor, but no high-sec auto-tracking, which feels like an oversight. And DT's into the main. Marauder's gonna be in the backside of the cannon wall, but on a move command. So he's storming his own probes for the greater good here. And easily dispatches that. The DTs are pain. That seems like so far overkill that we've... How many Vikings does it take to counter a Warp Prism? We now know the answer is something less than 33. 2 more Stargates on the way. Another mothership. Command center trying to land on the base that's been taken out multiple times decides to turn around upon seeing the Nexus and pretending like that wasn't his intent the entire time. Of course. Another wall of cannons coming together. We did see that the cannons were pretty easily countered by walking around them before. But then the Templar mind tricked the Marauders and the Ghosts into move commanding. So it kind of ended up about even there. Some observers, probes, Templar on the high ground. I love the map Templar that Astrea has been using. They haven't really found a huge amount of success, but the threat of them is important. And when they do get the damage... Okay, alright. Didn't want them to get feedbacked. Sees another one. Fed back? No. Feeded it. Nuclear launch detected up to the high ground. The Vikings hit the deck, and the Stalkers, the flanker becomes the flankee. And Astrea spots it. Seven Vikings on the way at a time. And he'd probably build more if he could. He's got 8, he's got 4 starports. I assume most have reactors. Scans. Just making sure, eventually you could just scan the whole map. He's only got 7 orbitals, which means he can only scan on cooldown, and then some. Well, it takes about 5 orbitals to have a scan at all times. Essentially just 100% uptime. No mules, no overlapping, no Venn dia scans like this one, or even Venn tria scans. But 7 orbitals does give you a little leeway, because you're not scanning 100% of the time. Pretty close at this rate, but... He's got another nuke. In fact, multiple Ghost Academies. See if he throws it up to the high ground here. EMP. Stalker's giving it an attempt. Not even bothering to get close. Like, he'll get most of the cannons here again. I think 2 will survive. Oh, wow, nukes really don't have much of a radius. Takes out the stasis wards. 2 more nukes on the way. Vikings, knock out another Tempest. As we're starting to ask ourselves, how much is left? Well, the mothership's just been hanging out over here. Using it as a secondary recall. So 65 to 61 workers. Really, they haven't lost that much. It's been somewhat expensive, but it hasn't been a huge army trading back and forth between them. Wow, 39 Vikings. Looks like the ghost died, but a second nuke. Just as the cannons come back up, the nuke will put them down again. We'll have to count the gas at the end. As each nuke 100, 100. Trying to see how many nukes he's launched so far. A storm gets the Templar. Astrea. 18 Stalkers, 8 Tempests. Mothership, 9 High Templar. The Battle Mage, I'm surprised we don't have Disruptors, but maybe that's a bridge too far, even for him. As controlling all of this, especially the Stalkers, the Templar, and the Oracles, as well as keeping the... So the Vikings will easily kill any of these air units in a single volley and then some. In fact, they'd waste most of their DPS if they all fired at the same target, especially after EMP. But Astrea has 10k, 5k in the bank. Is he mining from an extra base? He is not. There hasn't been much conversation over on the right flank. Spirit is starting to mine out. Just entirely. Where's the ghost? Oh my. The nuke is coming from inside the house. I want to go to this... Oh wait, he's not paying attention. It's finally gonna land! 20 probes! Finally! The 20th nuke is the charm. I'm trying to go to Spirit's camp so I can see how many nukes have been launched so far, because they don't show up anywhere else. But, I'm gonna guess like 12. Breaks through the cannons again. The Vikings, 38, gonna pass the 40 mark with the next round. Another. He's just keeping track of everything with the scan. The Viking flower. All of the Vikings concentrated to hide their numbers. Though also that maximizes the potential damage of storm, so something to keep in mind. Another nuke. On both sides. Trying to cover all of the... Well, Astrea just backs up. I think he sees both. The red dots are quite visible. So that was a bit of an optimistic warp in there. Huge revelation onto all of the Vikings. There's not that much splash damage. Astrea has to be very careful not to run out of Templar with energy, because the Bio Army is still very potent. If he loses all the Stalkers underneath, the Vikings will just win the fight. He's gonna go mass... Well, he's thinking about mass Void Ray. The existence, well, he needs to wipe out the Vikings somehow, and the Tempests just do not... They are not designed... They're not designed for beating any of this quickly. They just have the range. They're the best tool for the job. That doesn't make them great. It just makes them better than everything else. Bit of an awkward scenario as they're fighting against the Vikings and the ghosts here, but... Mothership still hanging out. The fact that he's only lost one mothership puts him in the very top percentile, if he wasn't already. Another storm softens up the Vikings. More Marauders with the charged lots. Just enough in front. Autumn colors on the Vikings. It is way cheaper to repair. Repairing only costs a quarter of the cost of the unit, as opposed to building another one, which, believe it or not, costs the full cost of the unit. Sensor tower and turrets coming up. Still, no high-sec auto-tracking. And if Spirit ends up losing this game to a war of attrition, then there can be some blame laid on a lack of high-sec auto-tracking. He hasn't noticed. There hasn't been too many scenarios where the turrets are directly engaging. Not sure if we'll get there at all. But he's lost 11 of them. He currently has 15 on the field. The turrets per minute, nearly 1. Especially at this late stage. But they both quite comfortably mined out most of their half the map. How many gas guns? We're going to have to start counting. As both sides are sending workers into the fray. The probes are blasting. Well, the probes are being blasted apart by the planetary. Some of the probes wanted to live. The production tab is empty. As both sides figure out what they want to rebuild with that money. Or that free supply, rather. Planetary slaughtering more probes. This planetary is almost entirely obsolete now. There's 285 minerals there. Yes, we're gonna have to start doing the thing where you count the minerals. They've mined almost exactly the same amount. Astrea about 1k more minerals and 1k more gas. But neither has been able to get an extra base. So that's really the decisive part of things. Now we're in the chess match. Where neither player knows, they know their opponent's maxed out. They know their opponent has money in the bank. And they know their opponent will have a similar amount of money total to what they have. But a very big and sizable and almost impressive but. They don't know what that number is. I lost track there for a second. But, I'll bet. So, neither player... Yeah, if Astrea knew he had 5,000 more gas, then maybe he'd be taking more aggressive fights in order to try to whittle him down. But, if you take up particularly... These armies are worth 5,000 gas apiece. Spirit's armies worth over 9,000 minerals. Nearly 10,000. Astrea at 7k 5,500. So you just have to assume that they either have more or equal amount of gas, and that's your safest bet. Until you get a better tell. Oh well. Spirit trying to move in. The Tempest. The crazy part is we never saw Robo Bay the entire game. And I'm feeling like Astrea, well, I don't know what the next war will be fought. Yes, I do. This war will be fought with Tempest and Vikings. But the war after that, assuming we get there, will be fought with Zealots and Marines. The tech equivalent of sticks and stones. Astrea with 12k, 8k. He's got pylons throughout the map. There are turrets out there as well. Neither player willing to give up those kind of contested bases, but also not particularly inspired to attack forward either. The workers, no longer needed, will contribute dozens of damage to the bases. Astrea down to 29 probes. I think at the end, maybe like 5 or 10 will be the number. As there are only so many more gas geysers left. There's 200 gas. Wow, this has been a very efficient mine out. Well, actually no, it's 36 minutes. Which, it kind of has felt shorter than that. I don't know, I can't really explain it. Time flies when you're having fun. Something like that. Like and subscribe. Wow. Warps in a cinematic of stalkers. There's 16 gates, by the way. As it seems like round armies are slowly but surely growing again in number. There are 31 stalkers. taking up the supply that was previously taken by the probes. Well, now what? The Stalkers get EMP'd, but Stasis manages to catch a lot of them. We'll see if Astrea moves into position to take advantage of it. More Marines and Marauders for Spirit, who's now at 10,000 minerals. Well, it was for a moment there, and then the Vikings got knocked out of the sky. The final tally. There's no more gas on Spirit's side of the map. There's only 100 left for Astrea. Wow, that was... and we're out. Like, another nuke. Spirit. So now Spirit has to pretend like he's got plenty in the bank. He's throwing out nukes. He's probably thrown out 2,000 gas of nukes. Hasn't gotten what he needed. He's gonna lose another ghost. We're still far off the time when he can't rebuild them, but the nukes are becoming less. A single nuke is the Hail Mary that could turn this game around. But, okay, well, now what? I mean, okay. At the end of the day, in order to win a game, oh, wow. He had exactly 200 energy, which is enough to kill the ghost with feedback, since it does 0.5 damage per energy. A max energy ghost is the only one that will die to feedback. But that focus criticism just too much to handle. Must have read the YouTube comments about ghosts. Huh. Well, here we are. Astrea, the final tally will be 7,800 gas in the bank at the max. Spirit has the most gas he ever will. The Bio Army moving forward, but Storm still heals through most of it. I guess we're base trading. In order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you have to kill all your opponent's buildings. Very technically, that is the only rule. Everything else is usually just players realizing that's going to happen, so expediting the process by leaving. But suddenly, the carve-out begins. Both players have realized it's no rush mine out the entire map challenge. So, Astrea hits the ghost with a stasis, which prevents him from killing so much, but beautiful storms across many of the Vikings. Spirit fighting heads up. Another bio army from the north side. There's no more storms. It's a disaster for Astrea. But the Viking count is dwindling. Reinforcements have arrived. The mothership is here. Knocks out another Oracle. This fight is costly for both sides. He's chasing down the last Tempest. Has to be so careful. Those Vikings are still important. He can rebuild. 5 medevacs in production. 4 ghosts. Spirit has to be very careful. Usually you can rebuild, and you have to decide what the unit composition is going to be. And he does so. He cancels the medevacs in production. He already has 7. And builds... Well, he scans, sees... Wow, smart move. He scans the main, sees that Tempests are building, and instead of Liberators, he actually cancels the production of the starports for a 3rd time and goes back to Vikings, which are much more reliable against the Tempests. EMP, though. So, Spirit has lost way more gas. Spirit is almost out of money. Now, again, Astrea can't know that, and that is still plenty of Terran army. Astrea is actually sitting on 160 supply, and I think that's intentional. He has warpins, but until he knows what Spirit is committing to, he doesn't want to play that card. More probes pulled, and actually killing the non-high-sec auto-tracking turrets. Not that that would help them against the probes. He sees the ghost. Wait, there's no detection, though. But another 100 gas thrown into the sky and will land. And Spirit is out of money entirely. He has nothing left. There's a few mineral patches, long-distance mining to the north. 500 or 600. There's the mineral walls, I guess, technically. All right, well. Now, Spirit has 22 minerals. He doesn't even have enough for repair. Astrea is now building carriers. He's finally filling out his army with the dreaded carrier. Well, are the carriers the right answer? Spirit literally can't build another SCV. Though I think if he mined his mineral... What? Why is there a gas geyser here? Anyways, there was enough gas. Not that he can spend it. How much... I can't believe I'm about to ask. How many minerals are in the mineral walls? 7 apiece. There's like 9 of them. Well, that's way more than 9 of them over there. But he could maybe build... If push came to shove, he could build another SCV maybe. But now... Well, we've mined out the map. We've had a few battles, and now there's nothing left. Now we fight. Or, think about it. Spirit still has enough orbital commands in order to scan. And I mean, not like you're dropping mules. He has SCVs out on the field, but probably should save those for a fight. There's no reason to free up supply anymore. A ghost, EMP. How many ghosts left? 13. 26 Vikings. So I see this going one of 2 ways. One, and this is the more obvious one, which is Astrea just kind of whittles down Spirit to the point he has to fight, and then he gets crushed. Because Spirit has way more money and could rebuild an entire new army. 2, this somehow gets ridiculously close. My god. And even then, Astrea is heavily favored, but... Oh my god. He's trying to auto-attack, and he gets a 3rd Templar! It was worth it! And it'd be even better if Astrea didn't have money in the bank. The last minerals have been mined, and the probes are pulled once again into the fray. 0 minerals remain. You know what's gonna be the tell for Astrea? When he starts seeing mech units without any, not getting repaired. These SCVs, the probes, worker fight! Everyone, there's nothing left for the workers to do. The SCVs finally pulled into action, though it's a bit suspicious. Like, why? Why are they just sitting there? Why didn't you send them out if you're going to refill your supply? Well, the SCV's still just hanging out. Somehow almost all of them got tagged by the probes. They can get healed by medevacs through some genius of bioengineering, but another snipe. Astrea's starting to bleed Templar. There is a scenario where he runs out of High Templar and loses the air army. The Vikings are hidden back. There's enough Vikings to deal with any air army that doesn't involve ground support right now. Though Astrea still has enough money to build carriers. Revelation, very important. The scans spot everything. We've now reached past the 1 hour mark. Back in the day, in StarCraft time, a holdover from Brood War, time moved faster. Okay, it used to move about like 1 minute in StarCraft time was about 40 seconds in real time. And that's why there's kind of weird numbers for how long it takes to build things in Legacy of the Void when we finally switch to real time. But one of the holdovers from that is once you pass that 43 or 44 minute mark, there's suddenly an hour counter on the timer. And that's because that would have been an hour in the original StarCraft time. And the reason why we had original StarCraft time is a holdover from Brood War, which is when normal speed in Brood War, well, you can't repair it, that will burn. That's very sad. Normal speed in Brood War was 1 second to 1 second. The Koreans are like, that's way too slow. And every tournament was held on fastest speed, or whatever it was. So it ended up being the default. And that was carried in the StarCraft 2 up until we're like, this is kind of confusing, and converted it to real time. But almost everything is a fraction of a second, as opposed to the actual second count. Hello? The carriers actually find the Vikings out of the trees. Knocks out several of them. Loses 5 Vikings. Spirit bleeding out units here, as he cannot replace them. I think Astrea is aware now that there's nothing left. The Tempest, another one down to 20. As we trundle towards a almost inevitable conclusion, it seems. Astrea now would not only have to throw this, but he'd have to throw it, run after it, pick it up again, and then throw it even further. And even then, it still might be out of reach for Spirit. Well, Astrea is under 4K. He definitely can't replace really much of this army at all. There is a scenario where neither of them is able to kill their opponent's buildings. Oh, several Vikings, and each point of damage is permanent. Another thing to constantly consider. Those SCV... I'm surprised the SCVs aren't part of it here. Spirit still. There's 10 ghosts left. Getting whittled down one by one. 42 dead so far. 44 Templar. There's still some shield batteries back there. Oh, another ghost. There are 12 Tempests, 8 carriers. There's still a nuke, by the way. Those stasis. How many? There's 4 orbitals left. Astrea doesn't move out to fight, because again, he's not 100% sure he knows what all of Spirit's army is. And 2, his army is much better at a defensive position. The Terran army in a concave is just incredibly effective. Well, Spirit looks like he is going to retreat even further back. Where are the SCVs going? Why not save them for the fight? Kinda odd to use them here. At this stage, I guess he's trying to trigger stasis wards, but he just throws them away. Well, they all just die. I mean, I don't think 20 SCVs is going to make a huge difference in a fight, but certainly better than allowing them to be slaughtered just because you remembered they existed. That's rude. In many cultures, considered a dick move. The mothership is spotted. If he can get the mothership, that's huge. But the Templar are scattered all throughout. And Astrea still has enough to continue building shield batteries. Spirit is running, well, in general, and well, there go the Ghost Academies. I think one of those... He launches the nuke! The Ghost isn't even cloaked. He cancels it to save the Ghost. The last nuke has been launched. Well, here we go. He's running out, like... There's not much real estate left. Eventually, the Tempests will work their way through. Think wait, there are minerals here! Spirit, there are minerals here! Oh no! Spirit, there's like 1,000. Like, these are real minerals. He has 1,200 minerals here. What? Wait, there are minerals here too! Did you just give up on mining? You have mules. What has happened? I just assumed we were mined out. Oh my god. Would it have been enough? I don't know. It's certainly... No, he has like 2,000 minerals! There's not enough to stop the carriers. There's 16 zealots being warped in. GG! Oh, I don't know if it's like I was convinced that Spirit had handled it. I didn't even look. Like, I don't know how many people are yelling at me in the comments right now, like, Winter, there were still minerals at these bases. There's 700. There's 900. Those SCVs. Wait, how does that happen? How does he not see them? Like, that's the definition of acting like you belong. Those SCVs just sitting there like, no, job's finished. We mined every mineral on the map, sir. 1,600, 2,000 minerals? Yeah, that makes a difference. Oh, no. It's a disaster. Wow. And to realize that at the end. I don't even know if Spirit ever realized it, but he could have dropped mules. He threw away 20 SCVs before mining those minerals. Were they cloaked? I'm going back. I'm losing it. Yeah, they're just there. The SCVs, I think Spirit convinced himself there are no more minerals. That's what happened. He's like, oh, well, that's that. Yeah. And then what happens to this base? We finally fight, and then... Oh, Jimmy. No, that's not... Wow. Well, that was an odd game. Neither... They just agreed to no rush entire map mine out. Except Spirit didn't fulfill his end of the bargain. And it cost him. Potentially everything. I still think even with a couple thousand more minerals, it wouldn't necessarily change the trajectory of the game. But... Wow. Well, that's certainly, of all the games I've ever seen, that was one of them. Hopefully it made your day at least a little bit better. Even if it's a bit of an unsatisfactory conclusion. But otherwise, if you enjoy, if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't yet checked out the second channel, the streaming channel here on YouTube, Winter Gaming, you can find info in the description or just, type it in. People occasionally do. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.